I want to be. I dare to give the best of me. I'm only one, but you're not alone. My funny state, it's you I know. I'm broke my heart for a weekend to taste the switch. I find is the pain. A reason for yes you will. This much rose. I want one moment in time when I know that destiny with all in its one moment on the time I will free, I will free. It's your sea, so I know for lifetime.
Good evening. You're watching the Health Wave, and this is Victoria Barayev. We are going to discuss what to eat for the high athletic performance tonight, the question that bothers a lot of people. Our phone number in the studio is 770-727-077. You have a chance during the next hour to call and ask us a question, or you can write us to the Radio Live Facebook page. We will address all of your questions. To be our best, we must eat our best. And that's not a secret. In nature, there are ideal diets for every animal, for every kind of animal, I would say, and for the human beings as well. For example, cats devour meat. We know koala bears, they eat eucalyptus leaves. And then panda bear thrives on the bamboo shoots. And of course, there is a diet that suits a human being to make us feel our best and to look our best. What this diet is a controversial question. There is so much information in the internet that confuses us most of the time. Especially for people who do high athletic, who really lead high athletic lifestyle and want to do their best in that type of performance, they always choose two different spectrum of nutrition. Some people go the high carbohydrate way, eating rice and beans and potato and corn, and some go the low carbohydrate way, eating meat and eggs and dairy, really, and all of that is done to achieve their best athletic performance. However, to decide what to do, the best would be is to look at the history of the human being. Just like Dr. John McDougall, well-known doctor, says that all high athletic performance populations, all healthy and trim populations in the world, they really thrive on high carbohydrate diet, meaning they eat rice and beans, corn and potatoes. Throughout the whole world, throughout history, people have done that. If you look at people in Japan and China and Asia and South America, Russia, you can see this trend everywhere. And despite that, like even if you look at the Roman army, thinking about history, the highest, the strongest army in the world, they survived on barley, which made them really, really strong. However, the tendency to choose low carbohydrate diets in the athletic world still remains very high. Why is that? Hard to tell. Whether it's marketing, whether it's something else, it's really still a question that remains a lot of, still to be discussed. And even despite the fact that this type of foods like meat and poultry and cheese and eggs, they really dramatically increase the risk of suffering from coronary heart disease, diabetes, cancers, and so on, are still being chosen by athletic by people in the athletic world. But what's good, actually, at the same time, the tendency to go into the plant-based direction among athletes is very, very high. And tonight we're very fortunate to have a special guest in our studio who is a plant-based athlete. He's we've known each other for a while now, and I've known his family very well. He is an athlete and a head instructor, and at the same time a father of 3 beautiful children. So please meet Tey Koval. Tey, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm really happy that you were able to come and share all of your knowledge and answer all of these numerous questions that our viewers and listeners have, and can't wait to discuss this topic with you. So to begin with, my question is this. Do you train for your own health? How did you start? Or do you really do it for teaching and, something like as a career?
So that's a very good question. I think I started training because my parents and my grandparents made me. And in the 80s, when you're growing up, you don't really have a choice. You do what your parents tell you. And the culture during that time is, with martial arts coming in into the mainstream, everybody wanted to be the next Van Damme or Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris. So, of course, it was very cool for us. And throughout my life, I continued training. And I always had a passion to teach. For some reason, I always thought I'm going to end up teaching history. I just happened to go into the field of martial arts. And I ended up teaching, and I have a huge passion for teaching. And I'm very fortunate to end up where I am right now, teaching at Marietta Martial Arts over in Marietta with a great team that allows me to better my teaching, not just by teaching the students, but also working with the instructors. So I think it started as being an athlete and now more as a teacher and an athlete. Teacher first, of course.
So you combine both passions, so to speak, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Very good. So what do you offer to your clients? You teach martial arts.
So as far as what do we offer to our clients and what do I offer to the clients, we teach everybody from, 3.5 all the way up to, as long as they can walk in, that's great. We teach anybody of any age. And what we offer, when you're dealing with younger, with little children, you offer them, basic motor skill development, making sure they can, bluntly speaking, can you chew gum and walk in a straight line? And as you get older, of course, you're working a little bit more on the self-defense aspect and the athletic aspect. And of course, the biggest thing I think that martial arts offers is focus, self-discipline, respect. And that goes, most people think that goes only for children, but I can name numerous adults who are very successful after taking martial arts because their self-discipline improved.
Of course, nobody can argue with that.
Right. And that's what we teach over at Marietta Martial Arts, which I think is a great thing. So I'm completely behind that aspect of teaching.
Oh, wonderful. Well, let me ask you, besides the fact that your parents didn't give you a choice and basically made you do sports,
right?
Was there another reason why did you choose to become an athlete?
So one of the reasons why I chose to become an athlete because so let's do it this way. I think all of us have a tendency to wanting to be athletic and to look good, in front of the mirror. And martial arts is one of those ways to do so because not only can you defend yourself, but you can also be trim and you can be healthy. And on top of that, it's really cool to be able to do a flip or to do a jump kick and spin in the air 360 degrees and deliver a precise kick. That's a really cool inning of itself. So that's what made me want to be an athlete after a while when I saw my first tornado kick and I broke it down and I was able to learn it. And then going further, competing in the later ages when I was 20 plus. So that was self-driven. That's why it made me want to become an athlete, to be healthy. What do you want me to do? Smoke and do drugs instead? I mean, I like the athletic.
Choose that road.
I like the athletic course a lot better.
Very nice. Now, was your way to become like a successful athlete very smooth, or how was it for you?
I don't think anything successful in this life is very smooth unless you, scratch off, a lottery and win a lot of money. So any success takes a lot of work. You can ask any person who has ever received a black belt. It is not an easy journey because I've had difficulties, be it from when I used to have an asthma to overgrowing it, being able to stay in the ring for a while, being able to learn the same thing to do with my left leg than my right leg, because there are difficulties when, especially that shows in martial arts, when you're breaking boards, when you're unable to break on a first or second or third try, and everybody's looking at you and you have to show yourself and say, okay, I could do this. Of course, there are difficulties. So yes, there was quite a few hills and mountains to climb over.
So you just mentioned you had asthma. Did the athletic lifestyle help you overcome this?
So definitely, the athletic aspect of martial arts helped me overcome asthma, because when you have all of your gear on, or when you're doing high intensity training, you need oxygen. Your body must breathe. And one of the things that you learn in martial arts, one of the first things you're going to learn in martial arts, besides the, focus of discipline and respect, you're going to learn how to breathe. If you don't breathe, your body and your muscles are not getting enough oxygen, and lactic acid just builds up, and you're no longer able to throw a kick or throw a punch. And it's tough when you're in a ring wearing full gear, have mouthpiece in, and you have to go for 2 minutes nonstop. And then you have to go again and again. So yes, your muscles work, and that means your airways work, and that means your body gets stronger. And after a while, it just kicks the asthma to the curb.
Excellent. So you're saying that you overcame this disease?
Yes, I wouldn't call asthma a disease. It's more like it's just something you have. It's a condition. It's not a disease. But yes, I overcame it right around when I turned 14, 15, 16, around that time.
You know that nowadays a lot of people suffer with that. A lot of children do. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you did in specific in order to get better?
I think a lot of it came from the age we were living in and not having the access to a lot of things that they have right now. Because whenever I would have an asthma attack to the point where my lungs would shut down, my parents would give me a shot of what was euphyllin at the time, which is not the best medicine nowadays, but what it would take off the spasm. Versus nowadays, the doctors say you should be puffing steroids every day to relax your muscles. And any athlete knows if your muscles are in a constant state of relaxation and they never get tightened, then when the time for you to go to perform, your muscles suffer atrophy. So I was lucky enough that there were no inhalers, and my body had to fight through certain things when I had the asthma attacks and only get the help when it needed, which you should get the help when you need it. So what happened after a while, my airwaves gotten a lot stronger and said, well, I no longer need the shot of euphyllin. I no longer need, an inhaler that somebody may present. So your body fought back. And plus the things that I was eating in Russia, and then when I came here also, I would say had a lot to do with it too. We could go into that later on if that's something somebody would like to know.
Very encouraging story. I think for our listeners and viewers especially. So was that the only health issue that you were able to overcome with your athletic lifestyle? So
that's the only issue when I was younger that I was able to overcome. The later on in life issue that I was able to overcome is a degenerative disc disorder, and that thanks to the things I was eating and exercise, of course, and sciatica. And I was able to overcome that, which probably, I think that's pretty cool considering, asthma and those two under the belt now. So a lot of doctors will probably hear this and say there's no way you can overcome degenerative disc disorder or sciatica. And that's great. I just like to ask the doctors how many hours of health and nutrition they actually took in their course. With all due respect, you take tons of years.
Whoa.
You take tons of years of medicine and everything like that. But health and nutrition, if I'm not mistaken, you probably put 15 hours in.
Yeah, about 20 hours in the medical school.
So 20 hours.
Precise.
So my biggest question to the doctor was when I came in with what I understood now was sciatica and degenerative disc disorder. I asked them, is there anything I could do? Is there anything, anything I need to eat? Anything I need to do this? The answer was, well, you could go to the gym and strengthen your muscles, but not really anything you can eat, but take this medicine to make you feel better.
Exactly,
well,
because it's believed that, it has nothing to do with one another.
Well, Sean Stevenson said it the best. He said that he actually overcame that disease, and thanks to him and listening to him kind of was on the right track. You can't tell me that what I'm putting in my body doesn't matter, but then you offer something to put into my body and that will matter. There's no connect to that. That's just ridiculous to hear.
Right. So let's just clarify for our audience, the sciatica and the degenerative disc disorder.
Yes.
Those are two different things, and
They
you had
are.
them both.
Yes, they're two different things, but they are connected because degenerative disc disorder, pretty much what it does when you have rudimentary, is when you have two discs, there is not enough juice between them. They press, and sometimes they can hit a sciatic nerve, which shoots a nice little electric shock to your leg, which I don't recommend ever try to overpower that because you'll pass out. Personal experience. You can't unbend once that nerve is...
So basically, one condition makes the other one
Yeah,
worse,
of course.
much. How are you doing with this now?
I'm doing phenomenal. I think the only time my back bothers me now is when my son wants me to, when he had a nightmare to sleep with him. And if I sleep in his bed, my back can get pretty tight.
How old are your children?
My kids are 4, almost 5, and 2 that's almost 3, and a 6 months old. So we got our hands full.
They keep you healthy.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a blessing. Very good. So I know you are a plant-based athlete,
yes,
which is very impressive. So my question to you is this, and I'm sure our audience also has this question on their mind. Why did you choose this path? Because it seems to be much more difficult to do it this way.
I think I would say my wife had quite a bit to do with it because she would talk to me a little bit about it. And I would, unfortunately, I would dismiss a lot of it. But after a while, I started getting more into health. Not just, I was always into fitness, but I was getting into health. And
so you weren't always plant-based?
I was not always plant-based. I've gotten plant-based about a year plus ago. And I think last year I started doing some research after watching a documentary because as a teacher, as a martial art instructor, I can't tell somebody to throw a kick just because it looks cool. I have to break it down and the reason where there has to be a pivot, where there has to be a chamber, an execution of the hip, of the hip and the kick. So what I have to do is I have to research each subject. And I researched the subject enough where I said, I think this is a great thing to do. And a lot of my success stems from, my wife, being on board with me and being excited about, what do we eat? How do we cook and things like that.
Very nice. So you believe that it's possible to lead an active athletic lifestyle without eating animal protein. How successful are you at this?
I'm very successful at it, meaning that I'm alive and I'm moving and, I'm getting enough what I need. I'm 35 and I have 19 and 18-year-olds who can't keep up with me. So I think that's a success.
So you have enough energy?
Yes, so I definitely have enough energy.
You have to tell our audience because people don't believe it's possible.
Well, so let's look at it this way. A 6-month-old, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, almost who's 3 and almost who's 5, plus, teaching all the time. And I'm fine. I have enough energy, even though sometimes we stay up quite a bit trying to put the kids to bed. But energy, there is enough. There's a plethora of it if you're willing to do the right steps.
So let me ask you, how do you build your muscle without eating animal protein?
So
how is it possible?
We got to take a look at how do you build muscle? Well, first of all, you need to work out. How about we start with that? Because let's take a look at, periods of when, certain in history when the hunters had to run or when people had to do all the lifting with their hands because they had no machinery or anything like that. It's just work. You just work. We have become sedentary in what we do. When somebody had to walk to work, now we drive to work. Instead of taking stairs or walking up the mountains, we drive our cars over there, or we take the lifts or the elevators. So of course you have to work. How do you build muscles? You just work. There is no magic wand. You're not Cinderella, and you don't have a fairy godmother that's going to make you big and strong. It's simple as that.
But you know, people believe that you have to have animal protein in order to build muscle.
So I'm not, you know, I was of the same belief until logic came in. You can't eat dead to create life. It just doesn't work that way. You can't eat dead animal flesh to create human muscle tissue. I don't understand how that's supposed to work. So no, you do not need animal protein to build muscle. At all.
But isn't it what you did before you became plant-based?
I did. And it was an interesting thing because when I became plant-based, you know, I was going to the gym and my workouts were getting stronger. I was getting stronger being plant-based. No animal protein intake whatsoever. So obviously something was working.
What type of a diet did you follow before you became plant-based?
So before I became plant-based, I was really interested in a paleo diet. And we tried that for about, I think 9 months, 10 months, right before the holidays. You know, holidays in an immigrant family is always a lot of food. So, you know, kind of fell off the wagon there for a little bit until January. But I tried the paleo diet. But unfortunately, that is a gimmick. Just like a lot of diets out there, it is a gimmick. And paleo diet, we don't know what the extent of that diet is because it just became popular.
Right.
Okay.
We have to look at the lifespan.
We have to look at the lifespan because what it looks like to me, a lot of you know, people who are on this paleo diet, they're setting themselves up for heart failure and a lot of digestive problems down the road just because, oh, look, steak, that's on my diet. Well, okay, well, look, paleo means prehistoric. I guarantee you they weren't killing saber-toothed tigers all the time and eating their steaks. I mean, that's not how that works. If you ever had meat during prehistoric ages, it was very, very rare. Plus, don't forget, when you would hunt for a deer, there's no way to preserve it.
Exactly.
So you just eat what you can and, well, c'est la vie for everything else.
And you won't be able to hunt and be successful every day and bring something home.
Well, of course not. You have a village, let's say, to feed. You think you and your 4 hunter or 5 hunter friends are going to bring 6 deers over and feed the entire village. You get a deer and you bring it over, and hopefully it's not that far from the village where you can actually bring certain things there. Historically, when hunters killed a deer or an animal, they ate certain parts right away because they would not make it to the village. So you got to feed a village of, 50 to 200 people,
So obviously people sustain themselves on plant-based foods.
Yes, if they wanted to live.
So, okay, so let me ask you this. You did paleo diet.
Yes.
And then you want to tell me that your wife decided to become plant-based and she influenced you and you decided to change.
So
or is there something else?
So I think the decision was mutual. I think she was always waiting on me to kind of try it out. And she knows if I decide something or if I go, okay, I want to try this, she knows I'm going to go full in. Mm-hmm. And she was actually very surprised. She was like, okay, let's do it. And we just rocked right into it.
So you did go into it full in.
Well, yeah, why not? If I'm breaking a board in martial arts, we even tell our students in Marietta martial arts, like, you have to commit. You can't just tap the board. You got to break the thing.
Okay, so I guess everyone wants to know, what do you really eat? So
besides, as my parents say, you could go outside and eat the grass outside. So there is, that's what my dad says. I don't know what to cook for you. You could, mow the grass if you want to. But there's so much food you can eat. We can eat starting with, mustard greens, kale, cabbage. You got your fermented vegetables. You got your, you can even, if you want to, fermented cabbage, fermented tomatoes. And then you get into kind of, they say, is the meat and gravy. You got your rice, quinoa, beans. There's different types of rice. You can cook anything that has meat in it. You could cook it Plant-based. My wife can make a vegan moussaka. My wife makes a certain bread that's so protein dense that it's ridiculous. Like it knocks anything out of the park.
So for someone like you to be a successful plant-based athlete, you have to have a wife like yours.
I don't think so. I just think you need to do your research, because even when, even if I was single, if it would just turned out that way, I would have figured it out on my own. But I think for a lot of listeners and all of viewers, if you are in a relationship, and it does help having somebody on board, and if your partner is trying to be plant-based and you're not, you must be supportive. Just period. You can't not be supportive.
Of course, exactly. So give us some examples of what your breakfast would be, your lunch or dinner.
Okay, so
especially breakfast.
So breakfast, I think, they say it's the most important part of the day. I think it's misconstrued. Why? Because remember, when you eat breakfast, you're actually setting your immune system up for that whole day. So whatever you eat, your immune system goes, okay, this is what we're dealing with today. That's great.
Not only immune system, blood sugar, and
everything pretty much all over, just kind of
system.
Right. You're getting it ready to go. So what our breakfast looks like is different, but every other day you eat an oatmeal, which was tough first. I absolutely hate oatmeal. It's great for you, but oh my God, I have to put bananas in it. I put, I may put some jam in it, just something. My kids, my wife can destroy a bowl of oatmeal pretty quick. I have to have something in it.
But you eat it just because
of course, I eat it because it's healthy for me, and it's very good for you. That's, we eat it like every other day just because it's nice, it's easy, and it has a lot of really good minerals in it, and it helps me keep my body going. Other days we could do protein waffles with a bunch of stuff in there. Other days you saute some vegetables, then you make some potatoes in the oven, you put that all together, you put a bunch of mixes in there, and you eat that too. People are trying to stay away from starches. I have no idea why. I have no clue why. They have some of the things that they tell me is ridiculous, but that's perfect for you. Eat that. So breakfast can be anything. I don't recommend eating an orange for breakfast.
Why not?
Well, because that's not going to do anything for you. That's just too much acid in there, and it just tears you up. After you eat, you could have your orange. I've seen.
Or before you eat, you can have your orange.
Yes, and then you start eating because you need something to kind of balance it out. Please.
So can I add to this?
Yes.
So I would really recommend for breakfast to have something of starch, like a whole grain porridge, or even potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, anything that has starch in it. That's what your body sustains on.
Of course. And, as far as my lunches go, that depends. Sometimes I bring lunch from home. Sometimes I can eat at work. And the lunches are just the same. You could have your rice, you could have your beans, you could have your greens in there. Or, for example, today we have a great Thai restaurant. Anything that has meat in it can be substituted. Anything that has eggs in it can be substituted. I can have fried rice with no eggs in it and added tofu in there. Perfect. It's vegetable fried rice. You just go to it and have your fun. You could literally have anything substituted. You just have to do the research for it.
I just want to remind everyone that our guest tonight is Tey Koval, a head instructor and plant-based athlete. You can find him at the Marietta Martial Arts on Roswell Road in Marietta, Georgia, or Atlanta area, Georgia. The best way to contact him would be at his workplace.
That's correct.
770-321-1371. And I have more questions for you.
Yes, go ahead. Fire them off.
Okay. What do you do for your fats? Because we know that athletes need a lot of fat, like they say.
So here's the thing. When we discuss fats and everything like that, your body naturally is going to store fats. Why does your body naturally store fats? It's naturally stores fats because it's waiting for famine. It's waiting for stress, because our body is a perfect mechanism. Our body is pretty much, it's ready to go at any time. So in past time, in older days, let's take a look, medieval period, or even, ancient Rome and ancient China, at certain time, the seasons change. And what happens is nothing grows. The game that people would hunt would be scarce. So what do the farmers do before the famine comes in, or before that period of less food comes in? They stress out. So what does your body do? Your body starts releasing the fats. It starts eating those fats. Nowadays, because your body understands stress, famine, store, and then when you don't get enough food, you eat. So I don't remember in United States being famine in the past 10 years, or in most world. So what happens? What stress?
It's just a natural mechanism that your body.
Right. So your body doesn't understand that, your coworkers at work said that you look kind of bad in those jeans. So you stress out.
Right.
Yeah, that you stress out because you didn't make the yellow light, and your body goes, oh my God, famine. And it starts collecting fat. So here's the issue that you have. You have all this stored fat, but the famine never comes. So we naturally store fat. No matter what we eat, we're going to store that. So I'm not understanding why we need extra fats in our body. We already get the omega-3s from and omega-6s from a lot of the natural foods that we have. We have your...
But doesn't fat give you more energy?
Well, right fat gives you more energy.
What is the right fat?
So omega-3s, you could get them from avocados. I think it's the best source of omega-3s. Omega-6s are everywhere, so you could get them from pretty much anything. My kids, pretty much for omega-3s, they'll eat the, occasional avocado pieces here and there. I'll throw that into my smoothie sometimes. There are other foods that you could look at. Top of my mind, maybe you could help me out a little bit with some more omega-3 rich foods.
Nuts, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds.
Flax seeds, I would also recommend over chia seeds, because if you go to nutrition.org, it's Michael McGregor, Dr. Michael McGregor's site, very good. And there was a research article there about chia seeds and flax seeds, and flax seeds completely knocked it out of the park.
Wow.
Completely knocked it out of the park.
I gotta mention that Dr. Michael Greger is a very good resource for pretty much a lot of nutritional questions and research. Also, I wanted to mention that omega-3 fatty acids, they're made by plants.
Yes.
People think that in order to get omega-3, they have to eat fish.
Well, what does fish eat?
Exactly.
They eat other fish that eats probably plants. No, you do not have to eat fish to get your omega-3s. You do not have to take fish oil supplements or oil supplements in general. And that's a whole other subject we could discuss later on.
So once you became plant-based, you really believed in the idea that animal protein is bad for you, right? Why do you believe that animal protein is bad for an athlete?
So here's what happens. Most athletes, a lot of athletes right now are starting going into being plant-based, or, we could throw the term around vegan if we want to. And I've yet to see their longevity. I'm seeing them performing at a higher level. However, we've seen enough professional athletes who are heavy users of, animal protein. And we see them now at their age and how they're doing now, and it's not super healthy looking. You could look at any super athlete at that matter, but then you take a look at some of the vegan athletes and how they're going to be. A really good one you could take a look as Rich Roll, an ultra marathon runner, phenomenal. If I'm not mistaken, ultra marathons is like 3 marathons put together. He has a great book called Finding Ultra. I definitely recommend reading that. You could do a little bit more research on that. But is animal protein bad for you? Yes. How bad is it? I'd rather not find out. I know it clogs up your arteries. I know it clogs up, it takes your immune system for one hell of a ride. So I do not recommend unless you want to have some hard problems.
So what are your protein sources?
My protein sources consist of rice, beans, any vegetable that you can think of. They all have that. I actually wrote out a couple over here. So rice, beans, oats, quinoa, tofu, lentils, there's dozen more, barley is, any beans, that's what I said, you got your red, black, kidney, whatever you want. So there are tons of sources of protein, including what's in plants and what I just gave you.
And our protein needs are not that high.
To be honest, if I'm not mistaken, most doctors who see plant-based individuals or vegans, very rarely, it's almost unheard of to see somebody with a protein deficiency. Now, if I go in like this into being a vegan and says I'm going to eat chips and drink Coca-Cola all day or whatever, be plant-based, and all I'm going to eat is just literally vegetables and no grains or anything like that, you're going to have a deficiency. You have to have a solid mind before you do something.
So vegan does not equal healthy.
No, vegan does not equal healthy, just like health does not equal fitness. Fitness and health are two different things, what people need to understand. And
okay, can you repeat this, please?
Yes, fitness and health are two different things. Fitness is one thing, health is a completely different thing.
Okay, would you explain that?
Okay, so fitness, you could see a bunch of people who are fit. They look great. Awesome. I like looking fit too.
But are they healthy?
We don't know. A lot of them could be not. Why do we like fitness? Because we are all conceited in some manner. Little bit or a lot. It's a human thing, and it's fine to be that. Everybody want to look good naked in front of the mirror or look great in a bathing suit on a beach. That's fine, but that doesn't mean they're healthy. You can be skinny fat. And the way that I explain this, I even explained this to the kids, is that your body can store bad fat in such places. It's kind of like when your mom tells you to clean your room. Sometimes you clean it really well. Sometimes you hide everything under the bed. Actually, men do that really well too in their older ages. You still have junk everywhere around the room. It's just hidden. Your body could be the same way. You could be overweight or you could be skinny with a bunch of fat in you that's just hidden and tucked away in the right places.
The most common question I get as a nutritionist is, how can I build my body and do heavy workouts being on a plant-based diet?
So you'd have to ask yourself, what are you trying to do? You have to start at point zero. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to be fit? Okay, what is fit for you? Does that mean you want to be a power lifter? Great. You could be a power lifter. Do you want to be an Olympic lifter? Okay. You could be like Kendrick Farris. He took gold in Rio Olympics. He's a plant-based athlete. Do you want to just be fit and be cut? Okay. So there's different approaches to everything. If you want to be built like a mountain, are there ways to do that? Yes, there is Torrey Washington, who is a great bodybuilder, who's completely plant-based. And his diet is going to be very different from my diet. They're both going to be plant-based, but his intake of other things are going to be more.
Like what?
Now, he might eat a lot more than I do. So what he may be doing is what in the lifting world they call macros, is what you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat. So he may, when I eat, a bowl of rice, he may eat 2 or 3. I don't know. I'm not his friend, but this is, speculation at this point. Or there are some people who want to take creatine, which your body already naturally produces. Creatine will help you get bigger. But are there drawbacks? Of course there are drawbacks. And if somebody has questions, I could tell them the drawbacks of, drinking too much creatine supplements. But will that make you bigger? Yes, of course it'll make you bigger.
But it doesn't mean it will make you healthier.
It does not mean it'll make you healthier. So, so
the health goals and the bodybuilding goals are two different things.
They're completely different things. Can they be intertwined? Of course. But then you have to give up on one or the other one a little bit. So I want to be fit, meaning I want to be cut. I want to be lean. Will I ever look as good as an Abercrombie and Fitch model? Probably not, because I don't have the Photoshop skills to make myself look so. But will I still be good, and will I look good on the beach? Probably. I mean, my wife doesn't complain. That's great. I'm happy.
That's awesome. Well, let me ask you, do you ever crave meat?
Do I ever crave meat? So here's the thing. We don't actually crave meat. What we crave is all the things on top of it that we put. Have you ever actually tried taking a piece of meat, taking it to the grill or anywhere, a grill that has nothing on it, or just having it on a fire and then just eating that meat? It's absolutely disgusting. So you have to put things on meat to make it edible. you don't have
salt and spices.
Salt and spices and all other things.
Sauces.
I mean, type in some recipes for meat. Man, they put honey on it. They put stuff. I know. I used to do it. It was tasty. So you don't crave meat. You crave those senses. Your senses crave that. They crave all the spices because meat itself is not tasty.
So you can take a piece of tofu, tasteless tofu, and give it the same type of spices.
Of course, because tofu kind of like gets everything into it. A really good buddy of mine, East West Chef. You could look him up on Instagram at East West Chef. He helped me out a lot, and my wife a lot with some recipes, just like you did when we came and saw for the first time. You gave us a book, and we got a book from you about the recipes. So East West Chef would be a great source of who's also plant-based. He can help out with a lot of that also.
You know what? I'm sure some people right now are watching us and saying these people are out of their mind to compare tofu with a really good juicy steak. You got to be out of your mind.
So they can think that, and that's fine. I always say is let's look at the end game. Where are we in the end game? Is steak tasty? Yeah, once you put a whole bunch of stuff on it, it's tasty. Nobody's saying it's not tasty. We're saying how good is it for you? And it's not the best thing for you, like at all.
So if the craving ever comes to your mind or to your heart, you think about how good is it for you?
Not at all. It actually doesn't come. Like I don't crave it. When I smell something being cooked like meat, does it smell appetizing? Yes. But in my head, I go, well, that's not the actual meat. It's just the spices that they put in. And in my head, I think, cool. How would that look on something else? Mm-hmm. Would that taste that good on something? With rice and beans, right? You start thinking like, cool, this could be creative. But no, I don't actually crave meat or dairy for that matter, or anything like that. There's no craving for it.
So let's discuss this topic of B12.
Okay.
A lot of people are concerned. Do you get enough? How do you get B12 if you don't eat meat?
So there was if you listen to Dr. Greger on healthnutrition.org, there was a study done, and he'll actually point to it. Over 40% of U.S. Population is suffering from B12 deficiency. Mm-hmm. When I mean population, that means the meat eaters too. So here we go. So where do I get my B12? Well, everybody produces a little amount of B12. Even the animals produce it. But it's not enough for us to do anything with it. How do we get a B12? Well, you only get it from meat. Not really. What you're getting a secondary source of B12 because the animals eat certain things from the ground. And B12 is created by the bacteria on the ground or in the water. But I don't recommend anybody drinking that water because we do want our water at least somewhat sterilized because nobody wants cholera or see where that water come from. So where do we get our B12? Well, there are ways to get it from supplements. There's actually 4 types of B12. There's methocobalamin, adenocobalamin, cyanocobalamin, and hydroxycobalamin. And just to kind of go through with them, we just go metho, adeno, cyano, and hydro. Metho and adeno is what your body actually creates. It's both enzymes that your body actually makes B12 with. The methocobalamin, it must convert it then to adenocobalamin. Same thing with adenocobalamin, it has to convert it to methyl. When Dr. Greger, and I believe him with enough research, cyanocobalamin is probably the most used because it's the most researched. And it's the best your body can absorb, and it immediately creates both of those enzymes, the methyl and the adenocobalamin, creating the B12. The only thing about the cyanocobalamin is it contains a very insignificant amount of cyanide in it, that it's completely harmless to you unless you have chronic kidney problems or some rare metabolic defects or previous cyanide poisoning. So I think like any president in Ukraine is kind of, don't take that. So don't do that. And hydroxycobalamin is not recommended. It is bacteria made. So Dr. Greger recommends cyanocobalamin 25 micrograms a day. You will be good with that. I'm sorry, 25 microgram a week. Mm-hmm. That's the supplement. I take that twice a week because you cannot overdose on it, mm-hmm. and you just urinate everything out. That's mm-hmm. extra. And cyanocobalamin is just a lot more shelf stable. So you can keep it for you. And you could buy it at anywhere. Walgreens, I think Nature's Way has a great product. You could buy it at Walgreens, CVN, or any pharmacy.
So basically you supplement with B12.
Yes, of course. And most people say, well, why do we do that? Well, hold on a second. Y'all are drinking some crazy powders to get you stronger, and I can't supplement with something that's made naturally.
And it absorbs pretty well.
And it absorbs really well. So I do recommend B12 supplement for that, of course.
Yes, by the way, we just touched up you just mentioned powders, protein powders. How about that? Do you recommend supplement with protein powder?
So once again, we got to take a look at what do you want to do? Just like when in Marietta Martial Arts, we could be teaching a roundhouse kick. What do you want to do? Do you want to quickly hit somebody, or do you want to, knock the bag over with power? So what you're looking at the same thing here, you're looking at, do you want to bulk up? Or do you want to just kind of regenerate after your workout? Do I use a protein powder? I do use one. I use a Garden of Life organic plant formula. It has probiotics in it. It has 22 grams of protein per serving.
It has fiber in it.
It has fiber in it. It has 4 back chain amino acids, pretty much what those are. It helps to break down the protein, carry it in the right cells. I drink that only after the workouts.
Do you do it every day?
No, I do not. I do not. The only time I would ever have it every day would be if I know I'm going to be doing strenuous activity that entire day. So I need something to kind of give back my body a little bit of it. Now,
you don't recommend to do it every day?
No, I do not recommend doing it every day. It's silly. Now, the Garden of Life has a sport formula of it, which has 5.5 back chain amino acids, a lot more protein, like 30 grams. It does have your probiotics, and it also comes with 5 grams of glutamine for recovery, which is, if you are hitting the weight super hard and you do want to get, bulk up, fine, you could go with that. But always don't overdose on the powders. Your body doesn't need that much. A regular human being, 24 to 36 grams of protein per day.
We now say up to 60 or even 80, to feel more comfortable. But that's pushing.
That's pushing it. Now, somebody who does, strenuous activity, okay, fine. You can get that in there. But I think a lot of it for me is when I do drink those powders would be, it's not just the shake I make, it's what I put in a shake. I put my aloe vera in there. I put my blueberries, blackberries. I put bananas in there. So it's almost a meal, what I do.
Wow, impressive. So what does the aloe vera do?
So what aloe vera does for you, it helps you rebuild your body, especially at this age. What I recommend you guys do, if you want to find out about more on aloe vera, look up Sean Stevenson on a Model Health show. He talks about the aloe vera and how much it helped him to overcome his degenerative disc, because it helped me a ton also with my degenerative disc. And aloe vera just has that healing property, because even when you cut aloe vera, what does it immediately start doing? It immediately starts trying to heal itself.
Exactly.
So that's exactly what happens with your body. It's exactly what happens when you guys are drinking that aloe vera. It says it sends certain cells into your body to kind of works and help out rebuilding everything. For me, it was, kind of restoring that juiciness back into my discs, and I'm good. Add that with the workouts and everything like that, and everything is good to go.
Do you take any other supplements?
Just a pill of awesomeness per day, but that's about it. So no, I do not.
So basically relying on good plant-based nutrition.
Yes, of course. Eating well.
The basis of everything.
Yes, eating well, eating healthy. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I really like my burgers. I really like my pizzas. I feel you, man. I love pizzas too. You could get pizza. We eat pizza, but it's with dairy-free cheese.
You can make pizza at home.
You can make, Olga makes, my wife makes pizza at home too. Sometimes we order, and there's a few pizza places that do vegan cheese. Mm-hmm. And you just get vegan cheese pizza. Even one of my colleagues, if we get a small pizza, he started getting exactly what I get, because he doesn't feel heavy afterwards. What about burgers? Well, what about black bean burgers and tofu burgers? When my wife made black bean burgers the first time, there's no difference. There's literally not. What you're looking for is the texture. But a black bean burger is a lot healthier for you than a cheeseburger. So there is dairy-free cheese.
So let me ask you, what are some of the ways to reduce lactic acid in the body? Because a lot of athletes are wondering how to do that.
So, to say it simply, lactic acid, most athletes know it'll build up over strenuous exercise. And a lot of professional athletes will give themselves a shot of steroids to kind of relax that. I don't do that. That's not good. Lactic acid is a natural occurrence in your body. That means the oxygen is no longer getting into it and your body starts creating acid, which means you're no longer able to do that one extra curl. Okay?
We're alkaline by design, but by function, we're acid-making machines.
And you have to be balanced. You can't be too alkaline. You can't be too acidic. So you have to meet that balance. So at a certain point, you gotta stop and go like, one more. Okay, stop. Like, you can't. You're just going to hurt yourself. And how do you expunge that? Well, first of all, you must hydrate. Hydration is highly important. Second, after the workout, stretch. You have to stretch your muscles because your muscles have to come back apart, get that oxygen back into your body. Because when you're stretching, you're doing what? You're breathing. When you're doing high strenuous activity, no matter how good you are, you'll break your breathing pattern and you'll do, and that's where that lactic acid will build up. So just stretch, hydrate, relax. It's okay.
Wonderful. How do you recover fatigued muscles, for example?
So here's a very interesting thing that happened. When I became plant-based, I still did the workouts. I still felt sore, but I felt sore for maybe half a day, the next day for half a day, or not sore at all. It's like the body is recovering. And the reason why, from what I understand and what I think is true, that about 85% or 86% of your immune system is in your gut, correct?
Correct.
What rebuilds your muscles? Your immune system, correct? Your immune system goes in there, let me rebuild everything. Well, when your immune system is stuck digesting and going through, or not even that, when your immune system takes a sidestep so your gut can digest everything, all the meat, all the dairy, all the crap that you put in it, of course your immune system is not working like it should. The functionality is not there. The moment you're eating whole food and you're eating plant-based, you digest a lot quicker. Your body goes, oh, great, we could break this down very quickly. This is great. Your immune system jumps to action and goes, cool, I could fix all of this a lot quicker. So that's one of the ways you do your muscle recovery.
Help your muscles.
Of course, just the things that you're eating is going to help you, because stop stuffing your gut. Let your gut relax for a second.
Tey, you seem to be such a wonderful speaker. Do you do any speaking engagements? I
would, if you're interested for any speaking engagements, health, motivation, or anything like that, you can contact me on my cell phone, 678-538-8353. I'd be glad to come out and, represent, Marietta Martial Arts. So we could talk to you guys a little bit about that. But feel free to contact me. Once again, 678-538-8353 for any talks you want. Or if you're interested in martial arts classes, I may be biased, but when I say that I think everybody needs to do martial arts, feel free, guys. In Marietta area, we have 3 schools. Contact us at 770-321-1371. And we're glad to give you all the information and love to get you into classes.
Excellent. The hour is almost over.
Of course.
We've gotten so much interesting information from you, so many wonderful healthy tips. But before the hour is over, I wanted to ask you if you could leave us with a piece of wisdom or some, anything that you can wish for our viewers and listeners would be great.
So I think the best piece of any information or motivation or anything like that would be, what do you want? Honestly.
What is your goal?
Not even that. Like, what do you want? We all talk about we want to win $1 million. Okay. Well, what are you going to do with that $1 million? Break it down to the dollar. Break it down. Do you know? And most people are going to get stumped after the first 400,000 or 500,000. Okay. Same thing with your health. What do you want? Figure it out. And before you rush in and you feel like, yeah, I'm going to go watch these videos, I'm going to go look at this and then dive in, do your research. Get your plan ready. I was lucky enough to have a fantastic wife, and I was lucky enough to meet the East-West chef that was, that helped me out with some cooking. I was lucky enough to meet you. Reach out to people. Don't go in head first without knowing anything and then come back 2-3 months later because your blood work analysis is all out of whack and saying this doesn't work. Well, you didn't do your research to make it work. So
don't fix things overnight.
Right. So do your research, guys. Contact the people, contact Victoria, contact myself, ask questions, and then make that decision. Make an intelligent decision.
Thank you so much. If we could just take this message and, remember this until the next show, which is going to be next Thursday at 6:00 as always, that would be so awesome. Tey, thank you so much for being here, for making this hour so interesting and so fulfilling with a lot of information. Please stay with us. We'll see you next Thursday at 6:00.
Thank you, guys.
Радио для жизни.